So, welcome to DevKami. We are live, by the way. So, this is DevKami 142. I'm streaming,
I am Tristan.
and our
I'm
guest here
Shulhi.
is Shulhi. Yes. More introduction from him later. And one may ask where is Chiliong again. Unfortunately, unlike us, he actually need to make a living. And unlike, okay, we still make a living, of course, but he had bigger responsibility and more stuff to do. So he won't be joining us soon. Hopefully next week. Hopefully next week. I don't know. So, what's up with you guys? Tristan, anything happening other than job?
No, oh well, not other than the job. I got my so I bought a year ago. I bought an RX 580 for
Yeah,
about 500 ringgit,
yeah,
and it's a second hand refurbished. I wasn't able to get it working. I mean, it was booting up, but it's like it dies off after a bit, and
yeah,
I was suspecting it was probably used for crypto mining. It was very dirty, and
yeah,
I mean it's 500 ringgit for an RX 580 nowadays. It's like almost like 2,000 ringgit for that, and it's an old GPU,
yeah.
but with the GPU prices right now, like you can't really complain with that price. So just this afternoon, I decided to repaste and redo some clean up all of uh, these heat sinks, and
Yeah,
I did. I'll probably put a picture later on Slack. We're
yeah,
on Slack, by the way. Engineers.my. Go to engineers.my. Get yourself invited if you want to see the
yeah,
picture. I had to prop it up because it was sagging down,
yeah.
and if I prop it up, and it's like the whole day it's been working fine. So this is like quite quite a good um, development, I would say. For a 500 ringgit second-hand refurbished RX 580 that would usually retail for 2,000, I was able to
Yeah.
get it working just with a small stick, actually, just because it was sagging, and most likely the repaste helped as well, making sure that the die gets in contact with the heatsink.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So for me, work. And as usual, I have my hacking with my that with my chatbot, which didn't quite work yet, etc., etc. More on that next month if I have something to deliver. Before that, let's talk events. Actually, we had this is the Tech Hub by IO Foundation. They have a weekend. They had a event the whole weekend. So Saturday to Sunday.
Mm.
No, actually Saturday to Monday. So they have their event. Then actually next week, supposedly there's a junior dev meetup, but unfortunately I can't find the event entry anywhere, even on their social media page. But check Junior Dev Malaysia. You will probably find the event posted sooner or later, but it should be next week. So that's events. And worst come to
Yeah.
worst, I will hound Tavern for this thing.
Mm.
So
Oh, if you go to Slack, I have the picture there now. So if you want to show it quickly, like
oh,
my hack,
uh-huh.
the hack
Oh,
for the week or something. I don't know. You can take a look.
cool. Actually, do anybody want to see our own? No one forget it. Originally, I thought of doing it our own Discord channel. Then I realized that I forget it. Let's not
Hmm.
let's not split the community. So
Hmm.
first thing on our list, uh, Tech Giant Drive eBPF project. What this really means is that eBPF will be one of tools used by uh, okay, eBPF will turn more mainstream. So what is eBPF? Is actually it used to be called. It's actually still called extended Berkeley packet filter, but it's used more than just filtering packet on your firewall nowadays. Nowadays, they actually use it to write modules to monitor your servers on the kernel level. So and you can also, in a way, you also turn your Linux kernel into a microkernel, meaning you can plug your modules on the fly. Uh, more similar to microkernel based design, but people mostly use this for monitoring and occasionally use it for networking as well. So what do you think? eBPF getting mainstream?
But what's the advantage of having it on the kernel versus, I guess, user or
Uh,
runtime level?
is is actually monitoring on that level allows more granular monitoring
Hmm.
compared to user level. So you would actually use that to so one you can actually trace all the way down as deep as you can. So that's what you use it for. But EPPL can also use to actually people actually use it for tracing, and unlike traditional tracing using GDB and all that, using this also means that and when there's error, you can go deep, then you can send it to your monitoring system and you can see your error quite soon in theory.
Hmm.
eBPF will be one of the big tools for sysadmin, and it will not. And compared to the DevOps movement, this will be bigger because eBPF is the whole language on its own, more C-like but very powerful. So yeah, if you have anything to add on this, what do you guys think?
No, nothing from me.
Okay, so this one is my favorite story on policy failure. So there's a big fiber optic cable. Unfortunately, I can't see this anymore. Uh, so yeah, the guys should share the links. So what happened is let me get Soya Chinchou. Soya Chinchou, blah, blah, blah. Soya Chinchou. So what happened is there's a big fiber optic cable from the United States across the Pacific comes to Southeast Asia. The thing is they bypass Malaysia and go straight to Singapore and Indonesia, right?
Hmm.
So we already predicted that, and that is actually one of the fallout in a way, fallout from the cabotage policy. So one of the ministers, and of course, the Ship Owners Association, is saying that Malaysia don't have a digital culture. As a result, it doesn't impact us. Now we lose an opportunity for a direct connection to the states that will actually power our data center to power our IT industry better. So, and the whole competition issue is still not solved, by the way. It's still not solved. So it's a big mess. And now because of the big mess, all the fiber optic plan are actually on review.
Hmm.
And
So
the
it's
whole thing,
is it going to be avoided in the future, like future?
uh, not really. It's just that future fiber optic plan is on hold right now
Hmm.
until the government changed their mind. And the reason why you had cabotage policy is because to protect the local ship industry, but the local ship industry do not have the capability to repair the fiber optic cable. To repair fiber optic cable, you need a few weeks of permission to fix a whatever problem on the fiber optic cable, which is unacceptable to the stakeholder. So with multiple ministry uh, asking for the transport ministry to actually give exemption, uh, I think the transport ministry are the only one that refused to, and this is the result. So as a result, we lose out in a way to whatever advantage that we used to have. So yeah, any opinion on this? If not, because I already had a lot of opinion.
Well, I
This
think
is
we can have a different episode for that after
correct.
August, after
So
all of our interview sessions.
yes, so it's a policy failure on my side. So next one, more technical. Uh, this is actually the Docker credential magic. It's literally called Docker credential magic. So the reason this exists is there's multiple container registry. Used to be only have one Docker, but nowadays you have container registry everywhere. And apparently everyone log in differently. So AWS will use the access key and on whatnot. Then each of the platform will have different one. So as a result, we have these shims for shims for Docker, so that you can actually make it easy for you to integrate those registry or deploy to multiple registry for your product and whatnot. So do you guys have this kind of situation?
No, we
Uh-huh.
we right now the project we're doing does not use Docker, so
Hmm.
we're spared from all of these Docker magic stuff.
Fortunately for me, we only my day job only support one cloud, so it's tolerable. It's tolerable, so you can tolerate it. For open source package, then it will be a problem because sometimes they make a package for Docker, then you have to deploy to multiple groups. Oh well.
How
So
this
the
will
last
help?
one, huh?
I mean, like if you're using like Kubernetes secret, then how this will help? Because then it's like
Supposedly, this should integrate well with the secret store that you have apparently. Because this is only a shim, so you're supposed to implement those. I, I believe you're supposed to implement those. So you know what? You have I think everybody have to explore further about that.
Hmm.
But I think this shim, so in theory, it should be integrated. So yeah, and thankfully today had this week is a slow news day, so we only have 4 items. So this one is interesting. So this is actually the security static analysis tool. So this allows you to actually find Go vulnerabilities. Uh,
This is for source code, right? Not for
yeah,
Go binary. It's a static
correct,
analysis of source code. Mhm.
correct. So you put
I
this
enter.
on your build. Yeah, use this for in the build environment. So your CI tools before you build, do a check before you build and deploy. So yes, awesome, and it's a good idea. It's always a good idea, but that's just me. So and with that said, I think we're actually done with last corner. So Shuhi, let's introduce yourself. I'm going to put you front and center. Actually, can we switch over? Give me a moment. Let me figure this out.
okay.
No, I can't.
No, you have to move them around. I think you have to move us around.
Okay, done.
Oh, I
Okay,
see. Yeah,
Shuhi,
that
let's
works.
introduce yourself.
So I am a software engineer. I work for Cloud Technologies. It's a company in
Uh-huh.
the area of Oklahoma, United States. So I've been
Yep.
working like remotely for like close to 6 years now with them.
Okay.
I'm staying in Labuan actually, so it's pretty
Oh,
remote.
okay.
Yeah, that's why I not familiar with the um the text meetup and everything because everything usually I mean like for COVID everything happens physically.
Mhm.
So staying in Labuan, I missed out on everything. Usually when I go to KL, I try to attend,
Mhm.
but most of the time it's pretty hard.
Uh,
I mainly do Haskell, Rescript,
uh-huh.
and
Uh-huh.
Elixir. So those three languages basically.
Cool. But you work for remotely for US company. You
Oh, that's
work,
correct.
then you stay in an isolated area of Malaysia. Labuan
Oh
don't have a
yeah,
lot of stuff. You
yeah,
must be
that's right.
doing.
That's right. So my I stay in Labuan mostly because my wife works here. Before that,
Okay, okay.
I stayed in Miri for a year.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Before that, I was in KL.
Okay.
And then
And
programming with a relatively less popular language. It's quite a
Yeah, that's right.
isolated life you're leading.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
Yeah.
so, and also, actually, the reason why I bring you in is you're also the creator of Stencil. It's a project of yours, which is actually interesting. So let's talk about what is Stencil and why you built this.
Come again, the question? I couldn't hear very well.
What is Stencil and why you built this?
Oh,
Stencil.
so Stencil is basically a service where you can actually create like you can be like image version very quickly. So
Mm-hmm.
so for example, I mean like the first use case that you can do with Stencil is that if you have um, if you can create like a template, and then from that template you can actually create like similar images but with different data. So for example, you have data populated in Airtable, then you can pull those data, and then for each of the record in the Airtable, it creates a new image.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that um, and right now the no code and the low code community is growing, and then
Mm-hmm.
what Stencil does is that it provides a no code integration too, so you can use things like Zapier, Integromat, um, to basically connect all these services together. So what you can do when you combine all these services is that you can, so for imagine if you have like a Shopify store, when you update your
Mm-hmm.
when you try to do like cross promotion, so
Mm-hmm.
so when you update your product in Shopify, um, then using like Integromat, you can actually like create a promotion image in Stencil and then directly post to Instagram, for example, or Twitter,
Mm-hmm.
anything like that. So that's how it works.
Cool. Where
Um,
you get the idea
so
to do
the
this?
idea started last year. I was, I, I, I stopped coding. I stopped coding after work, mid last year, because I want to try something different. I don't want to try to program after work. So I want to try a new hobby. So I got into RC playing and drawing.
Okay.
So I'm using like all I'm using like the DJI digital goggle, the FPV
Mm-hmm.
DJI. So the problem with that is that when you are wearing the goggle, you can
Mm-hmm.
actually you can actually see the videos, the video feed, and you can also see the telemetry of being overlaid on the video feed if you are using the goggle. But
Yeah.
once you turn off the goggle, you have all the video recording. They don't really have the overlay data information anymore. But you still have those information like the GPS, the airspeed, and everything from your flight controller. But there's no way for you to like overlay the information. So I was, and then there's this one software. So basically for people who are familiar with quadcopters like Betaflight. So and there's one's software called Betaflight Blackbox Viewer. So that is used to basically like um, debug problem with how you tune your RC plane or like a copters. So you can actually do overlays on using those softwares, and it is open source, so I check it out, and then
Mm-hmm.
everything is done using like web technologies.
What's the name of the software?
Betaflight Blackbox
Okay.
Viewer, yeah.
Okay.
So
Butterfly.
I thought I thought I was trying to do something similar because the Betaflight Blackbox Viewer is just it is very limited in terms of what you can do. Because it's not meant to be data overlays kind of stuff. It's just meant to debug your your, your issues. I thought of doing that. Um, and so the first thing I want to do is like probably like create an image, and
Mm-hmm.
then I can use that image to probably try to overlay into the video using FFmpeg. So I started
Mm-hmm.
to build the editor, and then I thought to myself that maybe there is some other use case for this. So I do like market research now, and then there are like plenty of similar products in the same
Mm-hmm.
space. So I checked those out, and I thought I could do. I have like my own takes into how I want things to be, so that's why I created Stencil. Plus, there's demand for the actual product.
Okay. What's the relationship between Stencil and Hacker? What's the never mind. There's a Hacker ship. Not Hacker, right? Tristan, do you remember the product hub? What's the relationship for that?
Oh, someone submits stuff to Product Hunt and it goes up there. I think it's a product aggregation, right? But now,
Oh, okay, okay.
like it exploded like recently. Before it was like people can submit anything, but now you have a vetting process or something. Maybe the
Okay.
better question is who submitted your product to Product Hunt
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
how
yeah.
did it
Uh,
That's a
go?
question.
I submitted myself. Basically, you can either
Okay.
go to which you can either submit by yourself, or you can actually ask a hunter to submit your product. So
Mhm.
if you use like a good hunter, so basically hunter has like a lot of followers. So when they post a
Yeah,
product, all the followers get the notification. So
yeah.
so that's the one way to market your product. But I don't know any good hunter, and then usually much of the and then I think you have to like hire a hunter if you want to do it like really really well. But
Mhm.
I don't want to spend too much on. I want something that can grow organically. I mean,
Mhm.
so and then that's the reason I just try to submit myself. And then
Mhm.
there were like some advice that I read that you can actually just do it by yourself. You don't actually need hunter to actually like hunt your product.
Mhm. Cool. Okay. So
Yeah,
how's
and
that work out?
yeah, and where was there like? Did you notice any uptake or like
Yeah,
increased
that's
traffic?
yeah, there's a lot of uptakes in the traffic. Um, I think I got like more than 50 signups for the product. But the conversion rate is still pretty low. I do also there are similar websites to the to Product Hunt, but I tried those two, but they weren't as successful as Product Hunt. So
Mhm.
the traffic that I get is probably like a quarter,
Mhm.
yeah, from Product Hunt. So I think Product Hunt is like if you build a product and then you want to make sure that everyone knows about it, I think Product Hunt is the way to go. There's a lot of like strategy on how to target your Product Hunt launch.
Mhm.
So from what I've read is that you have to target certain days because Product Hunt, the way that Product Hunt works is that they have like a day started from like 12 a.m. PST. So that's
Mhm.
considered like one day. So if you can get to top 10 or maybe like the Product Hunt uh, number one of the day, then that's gonna be a huge win for you.
Mhm.
People try to gamify it. Honestly, it's just like and yeah, it's just like Reddit. People try to gamify it, and you can
Yeah.
actually like buy an output. There are like a lot of services out there that can
Yeah.
yeah
Yeah, and
buy.
speaking of Reddit, I guess you did go present your product to Reddit as well, right?
No, I didn't because
No,
I
you
think
haven't yet.
Reddit. Yeah, because with Reddit, I think uh if you try to submit a link, usually it goes to spam bot.
Yeah, they
They're
ban you
pretty
or
strict
shadow
about it.
ban you. Yeah, they
Yeah,
shadow
that's
ban
correct.
you. There are ways around it, like having a proper article be the link that links to your
Yeah,
article or something like that.
yeah,
But
yeah,
so
yeah. That's correct. Mhm.
So how do you build this? What kind of tools do you use to build it?
So for the backend, I use Elixir with live view,
Right.
and then the front end. Most of the complicated stuff on the front end, I've done it with script and with script React.
Okay. How
I
do you
didn't
spell
I
this?
didn't
Uh,
RESCRIPT script. It was named
okay.
Reason previously, Reason ML. It just got rebranded to
Okay. Okay.
Rescript.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Right.
it's a static
Okay.
language. Yeah, I think it's um I've been using it at work for many years. So
Yep.
those are the stacks I'm most familiar with.
Yep.
Um,
yeah,
I
that's
didn't
that's an
use
idea.
Haskell.
Oh,
Yeah,
you
yeah. Go
didn't
ahead.
use Haskell. No,
Yeah, I
sorry.
didn't use
Yeah,
Haskell.
because one of the other avenues you can submit to is would be the Elixir newsletters. And if you were submitting it on the Haskell newsletter, if you used Haskell, then that would be
Oh, I
interesting
see.
as
I,
well.
I I didn't know I could do that. I thought it was
Yeah, well, at least in the
promotion.
Ruby newsletters, they do feature new products written in the language, at least the ones
Yeah.
that I'm part of. I don't know about
Okay.
Python. I don't subscribe to
Python can do that,
switches.
but it would Python you can do that, but it's also better that you don't just say we build it Python. You have to share the experience. That will
Yeah,
works better. So
probably
that's
a
what
technical blog on your page.
yeah, correct, correct. So because we don't usually see a lot of product, but then nowadays the Python community is a lot had a lot of data analysts, and we don't always get what they publish is more research like, as in that will show that will show you the methods and all that.
Hmm.
So
Yep.
not as many product, but when we do have product come in, it also tend to be more technical. How do I build something, right? So that's the
Well,
difference.
yeah. Speaking of how do I build it, like why didn't you choose Haskell?
So because mostly of how good Phoenix is with web,
Oh, the live
there is
view
yeah yeah.
technology. Hmm.
So so I really like static language,
Mhm.
and Haskell. I mean, Elixir is not really like static language. There
Mhm.
is some sort of like you can get some help by the compiler if you have like a
Mhm.
typo and things like that. But if you're calling function with different arity, then that is still not gonna help. So I actually prefer to have a static language. But the problem with Haskell is that there is no uh, good web framework that I can use. I mean, you could build it, but I think it's probably take like twice the amount of time because I need to get like WebSocket going. I need to get
Mhm.
database set up properly. But with Phoenix, everything's just like everything just works.
Yep. And also interesting because to be honest, you are one of the fewer people that use Elixir and Phoenix language, and also VScript. VScript is rarer. VScript is a lot rarer among our community. I know a few. I mean, so as know what is ML in the language, but not necessarily. But then those are the rare one, and people that use VScript is even rarer.
I don't know
But
about Elixir being rare though. Like at least when there were still physical meetups in KL, there were a lot of
Yeah,
people in the Elixir meetups.
I think
People
Elixir
yeah,
is
just.
quite famous now. It's mostly
Mhm.
like mainstream.
Mhm.
right.
So
Interesting.
and then the reason I choose Rescript is one because of the familiarity, and then second is the static language.
Yeah.
Third is the it's just really good. It's just like blazing fast. So if you
Really.
compiled it, it's like blazing fast, and then the output's like really friendly.
Right.
It is almost like if you write a JavaScript.
Right.
So that's how good it is.
It's
So
a templating system, right? Or
no,
is
no,
it an
it's not.
full blown language?
Yeah, it's full blown language. It was
The reason
originally
ML
like a
or script, yeah.
rescript lang dot
I shared
org.
it on chat.
Okay.
The language is really
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
interesting
It is
because
because
uh-huh. Go on.
I mean, like previously at work, we I think this was like 5 years ago. Some of the front end that we wrote, I mean, our front end at that time were written in Angular JS, and when we tried to make changes, it was just like really difficult. It's just small changes, probably gonna take like a week
Mhm.
because of it's not because of the complexities. It's just because of people are afraid of making changes because you don't know because if things could break. So and then we try to experiment with with writing Haskell on the front
Mhm.
end using GAC.js. So
Yeah.
that works really well too, but there are a lot of cons. One is the output size like really huge.
Right.
It's really rare. It's really rare that can get below 10 meg
Right.
for
Okay.
front end. It's just really
Oh my
ridiculous.
goodness.
Um, and
So,
then the
but
framework too. Yeah.
uh-huh. Okay. Cool.
Looking at
But
the sample code here, it's very reminiscent of Elixir, the piping thing. You pass
Mm-hmm.
things on to the next
Yeah.
pipe. I guess this was a design decision for the script itself.
It was because the language originally came from OCaml. So
Ah,
Yeah.
so I think like 3 to 4 years ago, the the syntax wasn't looking like that. This is like the third syntax changes actually. The first one
Interesting.
looks really like OCaml. It's basically just like OCaml. The second, they try to make it friendlier to people with JavaScript background, and so they have all this and plus defensive stuff. Uh, and then the, the current changes is like it's almost exactly like JavaScript plus some minor changes.
mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds like a JavaScript framework
Yeah,
with
right.
3 revisions within 4 years. Major syntax changes.
I,
No, I'm
I
just
think I
kidding.
think that's
Yeah, we
that's
poke
that,
fun
that's
at
the
JavaScript.
that's the cool that's the cool actually. They just want to the way I think the strategy to adopt Rescript is basically just try to make the language looks very similar to something that is already like people familiar with, like
Hmm.
JavaScript especially.
Yeah,
Yeah.
while taking care of the weaknesses of JavaScript, I guess, like the maintainability that you mentioned.
Yes, correct. And then compared to TypeScript, the compiler speed is like really fast, and then
Hmm.
you don't have. So the problem with TypeScript is that like it, like the any type could creep in anytime, right? Because you have to write bindings, and
Hmm.
then you are not really writing a binding. You are basically writing a type signature. Yeah. So that could be wrong. So I think with TypeScript, you when you try to interface with JavaScript, you write a binding,
Mhm.
and then that binding is zero cost basically.
Hmm.
So when you get
Uh,
compiled, this
mhm.
it just become like a pure JavaScript, and you can
Yeah.
even inline stuff. You can even unbox some of the stuff, or some unbox of the type that you have. So it becomes like zero cost.
Yeah. So it's
So
It's
compatible.
really
so you would say you might say that this is like, is it optionally type? Well, no, this is inferred. Type is inferred most of the
yeah,
time,
that
and
is
then you have
different.
to. Mhm. Okay.
Oh, sorry. Okay, so how do you deploy this? Do you deploy this on AWS, EC2, and that's it?
No, I deployed it on Kubernetes, on the DigitalOcean. I use the
Yeah.
DigitalOcean managed Kubernetes, which
Right.
manage
Okay.
Postgres. Yeah, so I'm only like running one instance anyway, so it's not like
Yeah.
Kubernetes doing other things. So when I
Yes.
try to scale, I just like scale to one. So
Yeah.
it works for
Okay.
now because I don't really have much users, and
Yeah.
so
Did you know that DigitalOcean already had Kubernetes? That's why you chose it, or did you just were you looking for Kubernetes deployments and found DigitalOcean?
I was actually trying to find a way to deploy Elixir properly. So I look at um, things like Gigalixir, Heroku, but they are all like, very expensive for
Yeah,
the
they
size
are.
of the server that I want. I'm running on like 8 gig of RAM, so which costs me around like $80 right now. Um, if I were to like use the same size in Heroku, that could be like at
Mhm.
least 2 times the cost or 3 times the
Hmm.
cost.
Hmm.
That doesn't include anything else. Um, so I have a friend uh, who I didn't know about Kubernetes before this. I mean, I know about Kubernetes, but I never like do Kubernetes. So I got a
Okay.
friend who helped me out how to set up. So I do like a bunch of bidding things like that. It, it was like really confusing at first, trying to get everything to work. But now it's pretty simple. I just like build a Docker, then push the image, and just to like apply the configuration to Kubernetes. Then everything is done. It's very
Yeah, they
simple.
say after the initial setup for Docker Kubernetes is the painful one, like
Mm-hmm.
defining all of how thing, like describing your network, your services, etc. But once
Mhm.
everything is described and laid down, deployment after the fact is quite easy, or making
Mm-hmm.
changes is a lot easier. At
Mm-hmm.
least that's
Correct.
how I experienced it.
And then you could
So,
also do like rolling update. I haven't really tried it yet because I'm only like running on one instance. But maybe when the products grow, I think that should be
Mhm.
an easy. I should just like add one more instance and then just like
Mhm.
rolling out date. So
Right.
Or just increase the server size. That might be. I mean,
yeah,
again, so that's
it
the
come at
argument
cost.
for the yeah, that's the well, both of them will cost something, but that's the argument for the traditional deployment. Like you have your
Mhm.
Kubernetes with like multiple small servers, and you just increase and decrease the number. Whereas like probably traditional deployment would be it's not going to be rolling because you have to shut down the server, increase the
Mhm.
capacity, and then uh, it's going to be a lot like bigger and more resources. So I guess the benefit there is the zero downtime aspect.
Yeah, that's right. Another option that I'm looking at is the using like AWS Lambda.
Mhm.
So when user like send a request, I have like I have a Chromium and WebDriver running. So that basically that
Mhm.
generates the image. So that is running in the same instance. Um, I also have like a prototype that I built a couple of weeks ago that basically do that all in AWS Lambda.
Mhm.
Um, Probably at some point I'm gonna switch to AWS Lambda, but right now it's pretty fast as it is. So not I'm not worrying too much about it. But in
But
case things don't
AWS
go, I can.
Lambda, but AWS Lambda don't officially support Elixir.
Oh no, I mean the process of generating the image. The server still
Ah,
runs
ah,
on DigitalOcean.
right. Okay, interesting. So, I mean, I'm a bit stuck because that's an interesting stack and the whole thing. Uh,
And I think it would be
so
cheaper too. And
yeah,
I
yeah,
think cost wise
definitely,
it should be cheaper too.
You
definitely.
mean the Lambda version?
Yeah, right.
Mhm.
Because
I
I
guess
don't
I
it
have
need
to
would.
to be
run.
careful.
Yeah, well, it depends. I guess the because Lambda you're being charged with the number of transformations, like basically
Mhm.
the number of
Yeah.
requests in
Mhm.
effect. Whereas with 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 the server setup, you
It's a
pay
fixed
like a
cost.
fixed
Yeah.
price, yeah, a
Mhm.
fixed cost, and then you manage supply based on that. So it's something like you have a variable cost going up, or you have a fixed cost, and you make sure your costs don't cross the line of your fixed cost, or you want to
Mhm.
keep as close to your fixed cost as possible.
Yeah.
But
That's right.
yeah, it's an economic thing that I guess when you have a bigger team, you will eventually tackle.
Right. So, okay. So, if you don't mind, how much does it cost to run all that for now?
Uh, Slightly around 1,000 ringgit a month.
Okay.
I'm
Okay.
nowhere
So, how
to
about how go on? Go on.
come
Go on.
in.
Go on.
Oh, I'm nowhere
Continue.
to
Continue
be.
first.
I'm not at the break even point yet. So so it's an incurring cost each month, but
Okay.
it's a
How
business.
about how long do you build the product initially? From building to
I'll
launch,
build
how
it
long?
from 7 months actually. It took me
Yeah.
7 months to build everything,
Okay.
and yeah, I still have to maintain my full time job too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay. So it's a side
well
hustle.
my expectation was 3 months to 4 months
Yeah.
actually,
Yeah.
but software development, right? Who gets
Yes.
the and then also
Yes.
because my wife is a doctor, and then because
Uh,
of the lockdown, I have like a 2-year-old daughter, so
uh-huh.
have to stay at home. So it's hard to get it's hard to get work done sometimes.
Yeah. And
So
as project management goes, this is what we do, right? Take our estimated time times two.
great.
Yeah. So that's how we get our estimate, twice the estimate. Always do that. So, uh, so product and all that. How many people use it nowadays?
I have like 50 plus signups, but
Uh-huh.
the active user are less than that,
Okay.
definitely, because most of the sign up are I think it's just like people who are curious from the product and launch. Yeah,
Right.
I'm trying
So
to grow it.
how
Come
many
in.
transformations in total? like how many, like, because it's a stencil, right? So how many? Maybe I don't know what you call it, transformation. Like how many
Oh, image.
stencils generated?
Oh,
Yeah,
so I think close to more than 1,000. Yeah.
not bad.
So I have like people who because I give like free 50 images for the free
Yeah.
trial user. So I have like user who basically max out the 50 images and they create a new account. I can see that because the domain is the same. It's a custom domain, and then there's like there's a different email for the custom domain. So,
Okay.
but I
Yeah.
didn't do anything about it. I think it's
Mm.
just, I mean, let them use it. Yeah.
But you know how many like DigitalOcean, for example, how they got around it is to ask for a credit card, zero charge, and then just checking whether the credit card was used before or not. At least that's what DigitalOcean does, because otherwise you have a generous 2 month $100 credit DigitalOcean. You can just move, especially if you're doing Kubernetes, you just move the configuration of a different DigitalOcean account and then deploy there. But
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
yeah,
So
so you
I got the $100 discount from DigitalOcean recently. So
Mhm.
that is what I'm using right now. I don't know if you could move around the account. I mean,
Oh,
does
you
Ebtf do
can't.
that?
Yeah, you cannot move it without like move it easily, but you have your Kubernetes like configuration. Just create a new account,
Mm-hmm.
like deploy the same Kubernetes thing, and then just switch the DNS to point to the new account,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
But
That's right.
the way DigitalOcean prevents you from doing that is they ask. I don't know if you remember, but they ask for your credit card in the beginning.
Oh, oh, I see.
And so that means you need to at least have multiple credit cards
Correct.
to transfer things. So they can
So
still abuse your service, but at least you make it difficult for them. So
Mm-hmm.
the casual abusers will not be enticed to abuse your service. It's only the hardcore ones, and you can't really do anything about those hardcore abusers.
yeah, because if people really want to like do things like call, pay for a cut every month, it's not something I can stop, right? But that's how I will do it to steal your steal your
Yeah.
get cheap useless or thing.
Is there,
So
do you have any thoughts about how different it is now that you're also doing the marketing and product management? And I would guess it's very different from when you're just getting tickets from your workplace, right? And someone else manages
Yeah.
these marketing stuff.
So, I I always thought that marketing is something. Um, I mean, it's not easy, but I would say at first I thought it was gonna be it wouldn't be too hard, I would say. But when I ran this thing, it is actually hard. Marketing is like it is actually hard. Trying to market a
yes.
product and then try to compete with other competitors.
Mhm.
And then the hardest part is trying to build audience because like people um especially trying to build audience online, there's a lot of noise and there's a lot of like people who try to one up you, things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It's actually harder than most people think because most people think that you could just talk, put website, and you're done sales. Not true. I recommend you if you have time. So my one of my colleagues is doing what we call the SDR courses on other thing. So it's not really sales, but because they call it SDR for a reason. I don't remember the full term. Actually, it's sales develop representative, sales development representative because it's a lot of data and a lot of targeting. So that's why it's hard work. Not that's why
Mhm.
it's hard work to do sales. Actually, you can't really just throw and pray and or do
Yeah,
cold
that's right.
call.
And then
Not feasible
I
for you
was
to do
also
cold call
trying to
anymore.
learn how to improve the CEO.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, a lot
yeah,
of efforts actually takes on trying to write a good document.
yeah.
I think that's a big emphasis because I have like my product being reviewed one of the YouTuber. So um, So I think that was really an eye opening because the way he stumbled, like try to figure out how to use the product is like
Yeah.
I haven't really thought about it. I mean, like it was like really straightforward for me. I mean, obviously it was really straightforward for me because I built it, but from a perspective of a new user,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, seeing that they stumble into like crypto, trying to figure out even how to delete something. It's quite funny, and then yeah, so
Yeah, it
yeah.
happens. People are hard.
uh,
Software
mhm.
reasonably easy. So let's go a bit off topic from Stencil because you work remotely and all that in Labuan all the way with a US company. Or so, what kind of difficulty do you have when you do remote work in this kind of
um
situation?
oh, I see. So the the first challenge is obviously financial.
Yeah.
It's really hard to get even a credit card, honestly. I'm not really
Mm,
sure why, but it's really hard. I
Company
still had
credit card, you mean? Like
no,
for
no,
your business credit card?
personal credit card.
Personal, even personal. I see. Okay.
Yes, correct. Um, I still use the credit card that I own when I start first working because I tried to change it to Maybank, but uh, they require me to provide for some reason they tag me as an expat. I told them
yeah.
many times that I am Malaysian working in Malaysia. It's just that I receive a fund from outside the US. From outside Malaysia.
Yeah.
I told them many times, but for some reason they tag me as an expert. So whenever I try to do anything related to financial, like try to apply credit card, I have
Yeah.
to deposit some amount of huge
Okay.
money, put into
Okay.
FD, and then they will give me the limit based on how much money I put into the FD. That's so I think
Okay.
it's ridiculous. So what I'm doing now is I open up a company here, and
Yeah.
then I talk to my boss to change the agreement to basically instead of like hire me, then basically like hire the company. So now I hire myself from the company that I make. So I have all the proper taxation, proper taxation from a Malaysian company. Yeah. I
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
haven't tried to apply credit card yet. So
Well, yeah. Tell me about it. As an expat, it's I switched to Big Pay now because I have that credit card, but now I have to renew every year. I have to submit a letter from my employer saying that I am employed, that this is my salary, I and then of course because my office address is closed, I never get the letter unless I get there, and so it's been like more than half a year now. I don't have a Maybank credit card, and so yeah, I just switched everything to Big Pay. It's just a lot easier.
Yeah.
yeah, I
But the
don't
tech, the,
understand
Tell me about it.
the difficulty, but yeah,
Mhm.
I don't know.
I don't know. You would expect that they would want more people using their
Yeah,
services,
exactly.
right? But
bank is what I know like to call kiasu yet kiasi type of environment. So they're afraid that you it's a checklist before overseas. Yes, you don't run away with the money. That's the first thing, because once you get out, then
well, it's a credit card though. It's not a deposit. This is a credit card application.
uh, you use the money that the point of credit is that you can
Mm,
use up the money then pay later. So you can pay then you can run away. So that's the thing.
yeah.
Yeah. So it's about that. So how about
Okay.
other difficulty for working
Probably social
remote?
aspect because I've been
Okay.
working remotely for maybe like close to 6 years now,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then in a remote place in Labuan where there's no tech scene at all. So when I first came
Yeah.
here, I tried to create like a tech meetup,
Yeah.
but obviously
Yeah.
there's no one. I
Nobody
don't know
wants
if
to
you guys,
attend.
yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys know Amirul. Do
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
guys know
Yeah. Yeah.
Amirul?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yes, I do.
yeah,
Okay.
he talks about he switched job
Yeah.
from a Petronas engineer to the dev. So
Mm-hmm.
Amirul was in Labuan, so he was like one of my friend in Labuan. uh, um,
So you have a lot of finance people in Labuan, probably not a lot of developer.
Yeah,
Not
right.
necessarily.
software.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, no, because Labuan is a federal territory with a certain taxation benefit,
It's a
right?
financial. It's supposed to be a
Uh,
financial center.
Yeah,
Correct. If you
because
open
yeah.
a lab one company,
Hmm.
so I think you could get, if you open a lab one company, I think your taxation is around 3%. But there are some rules that you have to follow. Like you have to hire at least uh, two people from Labuan,
Hmm.
and there's some certain rules that I'm not aware of.
Got it.
I think mostly I miss the tech meetup, things like that.
Mhm. But how about working with American company? How about culture shock? And would that is that a
It's
big thing?
it's really good actually.
Okay.
I am fortunate enough. My boss is like really is really a nice person. Like,
Yeah.
so, for example, when I had my daughter,
Yeah.
uh, my paternity leave is around 5 weeks.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, actually, he told me that just take whatever time you need, since it's your first daughter. So, and then during like review, sometimes he
Mhm.
asks me like, because of the time zone difference is like very really drastic. So he
Yeah.
usually asks me like, how's your work life work life environment, is it okay? So
Mhm.
if I need to like, shut off at night, just do it. Don't really have to worry about it.
Yeah.
So I'm just really fortunate that my coworkers are like really understanding things like that.
Mhm.
How much percentage is the company you're working for remote? Like, are you the only one,
Uh,
for example? 20%, half of it?
I think more than half is remote.
Mm. So he's used to dealing with remote
Oh yes, correct. Mhm.
employees. Mhm.
So we have one, not one. I think we have three developers in Spain and one in South America, and then the rest
Mhm.
is in the US. Actually, one in Taiwan, actually, but he moved to Spain.
Right. So it's more drastic here because it's almost 12 plus hours.
Yes, correct. And then I usually have like meetings around 10 or 11 at night, stand up, but we only do like stand up every twice a week.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, well, 12 is fine. Like, it's the 14, it's the Canada, on- what's the left side? The 14 plus
California,
hours? Yeah,
I think,
the
yeah,
14 plus
California.
hours is the worst. 12
Yeah,
is
that's
fine
right.
because you have a half a thing, but 14 hours is difficult because it's either too late or too early to set a meeting for both
Mhm.
sides. So
That's right.
I find that's a problem.
Because the
So
company
yeah.
is in
Uh
Oklahoma,
huh.
so
Mhm.
I still have like maybe like 3 hours overlap. So when they start, they work around 9. That means usually it's around 10 p.m. And
Mhm.
I usually have like 2 hours overlap, and because I usually start around 12. So
Cool. Interesting. So we did. Okay. Cool. So
Will you be interested in starting up a remote meetup this time since nobody like space is not a concern now? Like, I mean, in the spatial dimension, everyone is doing meetups online anyway.
yes.
yeah, I think that would be really cool. Something
Do,
that I
do you
can
want
join.
to?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I guess the problem is like people want to join, but there are less speakers to actually like get a meetup going because a meetup is only as interesting if there's a topic to be talked about.
Yeah,
And I
correct.
guess that like the Elixir meetups, for example, were a thing back when people can meet, but I haven't heard of one. Well, at least the calendar doesn't have any Elixir meetups happening. So maybe you'd be interested in spinning up, and we can have an Elixir meetup finally again after some time.
Yeah, sure, but yeah, that also depends on the amount of free time that I have.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah, I think like if it's the event is like two times twice a month, or if it's weekly, then it's probably
Oh,
uh
that's too frequent, I think. Like
yeah,
even
that's too
even the
frequent.
Ruby meetups, we only do like once a month, and
Yeah.
we take breaks on December and January, or depending on when Chinese New Year and happens. So it's
Yeah.
Christmas and Chinese New Year breaks. So it's even like 10 times a year, basically.
Yeah, once a month is I think it's okay too.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because even at work we do like every Thursday we have presentation. So
Mm.
so so the way that we do stand up is that basically we only have like one stand up each week, and that means Tuesday is the stand up where everyone do like progress reports, and then Thursday is mostly about um, presentation. So I think in a couple of weeks I have to present how to write like a proper binding to the script in JavaScript.
Oh.
Yeah. I think I could reuse that material to basically like I think there is like JavaScript online meetup in Penang, if I'm not mistaken,
Mhm.
based on the
Well,
Yeah.
DevKami YouTube.
not regular. I don't think Tevan has been regular in the JavaScript meetup.
Yeah.
Again,
But
lack of speakers mostly.
Hmm.
yes, but the JavaScript meetup is always big. It's always every meetup is effectively a small conference size.
Oh yeah, back then when 2 years ago before COVID,
Yeah.
yeah,
So in
2 BC basically.
yeah, in 20 I call it 2020
Yeah,
BC before COVID.
no, it's 2 years before COVID, so 2 BC, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
that's the thing. It was a huge thing, but yeah, lack of speakers is has been a thing. But it's actually good that you have this amount of um, material to work with. Like it can
Yep.
easily be a short blog post or even a short
Mhm.
presentation. You're already trained for this content.
Correct. Actually, I forget to ask you one thing. Do you have a demo for Stencil for us to see what you can do with it?
Yeah, sure. I
Yeah,
can I
let's
can
do
do it
that
now.
before we.
Mm, let's
Let's
figure out this.
do a quick demo before we close the show because I totally forget that you should do a demo thing.
Okay, share screen.
Yes. Then of course, oh yeah, I already had your had Stencil on Twitter. Maybe
Yeah, thank you
I
for that.
link. Yeah, I will link the URL for Stencil to our show notes lah.
So can you actually see my screen now?
Oh
Uh,
wait, I can see
Streaming
your
needs
screen, but I need to
to,
add you.
yeah.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Okay,
cool.
cool. Yep.
So so this is Stencil basically. So this is
Yeah.
the project page. So for example, if I have for this demo, I have a template where this is like the Instagram post.
Yeah.
This is like the Instagram post where basically you have a product. Then you can do like a rating. Then you have the price of the product you want to post,
Yeah.
and here I have an A table, uh, an A table, a table basically. It's just weird to see table
Yeah.
twice.
Hmm.
Um, So I have a name for the product and I have an image that I want to replace
Mhm.
the template image with, and then the price. So if I delete all this thing, let's do that. Yep. Okay, cool. And and then there is table integration. There's a lot of other integration here. You can do like query
Yeah.
string too if you want. You can do like
Mhm.
table integration. So let's do
Mhm.
table integration for this demo. Um, if I try to add it, let's see if I can connect to the. Okay, cool. So here's what Stencil will do. So first you have to map. Uh, so each of the object on the template has a field ID. So you have to match it. You have to match the field ID to the column name,
Mhm.
and then the output field where you want to output the image both in PNG and JPEG format. So it will be posted here. I'm gonna just delete this for this demo. And if I go back to the action and I can actually run, um, so here you can see everything is generated.
Right. Cool.
Yeah. So it becomes like this. So you see how much time your and someone could save by
Yeah,
having this.
like instead of having someone with Photoshop with their uh,
Yeah, correct.
yeah their template in Photoshop and then copy pasting one. I mean, you can automate it in Photoshop as well, but you have to run Photoshop and then do that and then transfer over or email it to someone or something. The process itself, the workflow is simplified.
Yeah.
That's correct. So basically, if you have any like repetitive design that you have to do, this is the tool for you. So another one you can do is the you could actually do Instagram. This is using Integromat basically. I just want to show you
Yeah.
the. Let's see.
How's the internet connection in Labuan?
So far, pretty good actually.
Mhm.
I'm running like 100 max, and
Nice.
fiber basic. Yeah, the in terms of the coverage is almost I would say like 70% of the island. So
Hmm.
this one, hold on, trying to find. I made one recently, so yeah, this one. So if you have a WooCommerce, for example, if you're running like at the Shopify, I can show you Shopify right now because my Shopify has expired actually.
Hmm.
But I can do like one for WooCommerce. Let's do WooCommerce. How much time do we have?
Well, you,
We
you
can
can take,
extend.
yeah, as much as
Yeah.
you want.
Just show us what you can do. Wow us. Oh my god! I sound like the guy from Shark Tank or something.
So I have.
So Nicholas give a wow face. You know, Nick, if what you think is awesome and can use it, pay him. Do
I
a
don't know if
subscription.
I don't know if the wow is on stencil or the wow means we're extending. I'm not sure what he's being wow about. Yeah, but yeah.
So here I have, for example, if I have, let's see, where can I add products? Come on, oh, okay, this is product. So let's just create a new one, right?
Yeah.
So let's say, for example, I create a new product. So I can do, this is the integration in Integromat, by the way. So Integromat can actually watch for product changes and
Hmm.
then take those information, feed it into like stencil module here that create an image, then it waits for like 10 seconds and then get the image back and then post it to Instagram. So
It's like
so
a
let's,
pipe, but graphical and
yeah, correct, correct.
trackable, I guess. Yeah.
For some reason, this is like the new trend. It's like the no code and the low code stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I've
Maybe
seen
I should.
some of these workflows like a few years ago. Uh,
Yeah.
Usually for email marketing automation.
Yeah.
Like this is your email flow and your funnel looks like this, and then you drag things. It's very difficult to maintain because it's not like code, for example, or configuration where you can have a difference. You can between two versions. If someone changes something, like you have no idea what was the previous version because someone dragged something or something like that. So we'll see.
So here I have, for example, I'm creating like a new product, a shoes. I
Mhm.
just give it like a very nice shoes,
Yeah.
and this is a very nice shoes.
Yeah.
And I actually set the product image here.
Yeah.
So I can actually publish the
This is WooCommerce inside WooCommerce,
yes,
right?
yeah, inside WooCommerce. So here is the product inside WooCommerce. So let's go to my Instagram.
And WooCommerce is a plugin for WordPress, just in case people
Yeah. Mhm.
don't know about it. It's not like Shopify
So
where it's a separate thing.
this is one of the previous image that I generated that
Mhm.
automatically posted to Instagram.
Yeah.
So now I can actually run this. Run. Hopefully it works. So let's see. Okay, there
What
we
is
go.
this thing called? Integromat.
Yeah, it's like Zapier, but I
Okay.
found Integromat to be much more flexible and then much more powerful than Zapier.
Okay. Cool.
So here,
Integromat.
if you go to Stencil, you can actually see the request. Um, here is the request. Yeah, it becomes just like that. And here, I think it's done.
Mhm.
So if you just refresh Instagram, that is it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you added a product in WooCommerce, and I'm guessing the no code, I forgot the name,
Integromat.
Integromat. Yeah.
Intergromat
So
would automatically detect it.
here's what I can show you from here. Integromat. This is what you get. This is the output that you get from Integromat.
Mm-hmm.
So you feed all this information into a module like this. So this is the template that I want to use. Then this is the modification that I want to make to the template. So I'm saying here for the field description, I want to use the short description that comes from WooCommerce. So same as this one. And then this will create an image asynchronously. So that's why you have to wait for like 10 seconds. There is actually you can create actually another module that basically separates this thing into like two parts. Then you can use like what images that basically trigger integromat hook whenever you create an image. You can actually do that too. That is actually the recommended way instead of like sleeping 10 seconds. Then you get the image. This is the output. So you get both link to the PNG and the JPEG, and then the modification that you send. And then this is the uh, posting to Instagram. So what's what's new that I learned is that in order for you to use the Instagram API, your account must be influencer account or business account. So they
Mm-hmm.
have like yeah. So like personal
Oh,
account,
you can't use a personal account for automation.
you can or you cannot.
Can you, like, from your
No,
experience?
no. You have to convert
Mm,
it into a influencer account or business account. So
Mhm.
this is like a business account.
mm. Maybe
Cool.
for
So
taxation purposes, like if you ever make money
yeah.
or they put
Mhm.
advertising, then
Mhm.
it's separate. Maybe I don't know.
Yes.
So
And
in here
also,
as well,
mhm,
yeah.
is security and all that as well. So,
Is so do you plan on putting like you've seen something like for the t-shirt uh, sites, right? Like you put the image on a t-shirt because this is like a template for
Mhm.
Instagram. I'm guessing you can put it like transformed into the iPad orientation and then uh,
mhm.
slightly skewed, for example, or like wrapped
Oh,
around the mug.
yeah. That's not gonna work because
Mm,
that requires a lot more modification to
mhm.
how you manage the
Got it.
image. Yeah.
Because I think I've seen some where you have, I think there was this product similar to this, but it's not, I mean, you have a different audience, but it's for websites or like online applications. So if you have your a screenshot of your website application in different orientations, like someone using it on an iPad, someone using it on a phone, and then like the phone is like this, and then you can see it skewed and slightly flattened on
Mhm.
that particular handle. And so, but these are actual product shots, I guess, for commerce uh, presentation purposes. That's why you have
Mhm.
your box image of price attached.
Yes, correct.
Mhm.
And mostly it's for, I think this tool is mostly for marketing people who needs.
Mhm.
I think a lot of agencies usually have to do things like this. They have to do marketing assets for the clients.
Well,
So
actually, I would rather than marketing people who probably have like are used to doing this. This is actually great for the mom and pop Lazada sellers that or like Instagram influencer sellers that would just want to use something fast and they don't have time to work on this.
that's correct.
It's probably
Yeah.
the marketing people, like the marketing agencies, they already have the infrastructure. Like they have the Photoshop people to to say, hey, we need assets for banner 200 by 140 and then all of the other sizes that they need for their marketing
Intense,
campaigns. Yeah, internally they
intensive
have, yeah.
services.
I'm
But
trying to target those influencers too, but
mhm,
I don't have any connection to,
yeah.
to them sadly.
I
Yeah.
guess if you're targeting that one, I would say it's your free tier is already quite useful and people are already like the fact that someone's trying to abuse it means that that person is already getting value from what you're doing.
Mhm.
Right? Like
Yes.
they have to create new accounts over and over. That at least that for that person, it's not enough to pay for it, but there's a lot of value for that. And
Mhm.
eventually the inconvenience of creating new accounts will be
Will yeah. That's what
like
I hope.
it's too inconvenient. I'll just pay for whatever how much you're asking.
Yeah.
Mhm.
How
Or you
yeah?
should,
Speaking of, how much is it?
huh?
The original price is around like $39 a month. For the basic tier, and then I have like three tiers right now. But I'm running like a promotion, like 45% discount for like 6 months. Just trying to get traction going. So that's my strategy for now. But I also got a lot of comments from like product hunt that's saying maybe I should create or like lower the price. I don't know if I should lower the price. Maybe what I should do is probably create a smaller starter plan, because
Mhm.
the the basic plans come with 1,500 images,
Mm.
Okay.
which come about around like 2 cents per image, basically. Um, so maybe for someone who runs like a small shops, I do, I think 1,500 is more than enough. I think if I could create like a starter plan, maybe around like 500 images, I think that I think there is a market for that too.
Yeah.
I just right now what worries me is the support. So if I um opening like opening like a starter plan could means I have to support more people at a lower price. So I think it's a trade-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess these are questions that we never get to ask ourselves as software developers. But now that
Yeah.
you're doing actual product marketing, then, or yeah, product management, the actual product management and selling of it, like support, right? Like
Mhm.
sometimes as software developers, we think, well, the more people that use our product, the better. But actually, the more we sell our products, the more people use our products, the more we need to support them. And now we
That's
have
right.
to factor in the cost of the time to support them.
Supporting.
And that's when like bugs become even more important. Like bug fixing is more important because that cuts off support time instead of like
Mhm.
people asking, I don't know how to do this or I can't do this anymore or fixing it.
Yeah.
Like, just never get them to encounter those things in the first place.
Yes.
Also, I learned that user doesn't really read documentation.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you notice for each of the integration that I have like a button like view documentation, but
Mhm.
apparently like no one's
Nobody clicks on it.
yeah, nobody clicks on
Mm.
it.
Yeah. So it's always videos, some demo videos
Or
there.
yeah, or usually have the documentation in context. Like
Yeah.
Mhm.
you you don't have to click on it. So it's not a second level click, but rather than
Yeah.
as you're doing it, it's already part of the thing, like the
Correct.
action,
Correct.
either hovering or like
Yeah.
just nearby.
I'm thinking of doing that too. But the problem is that whenever I need to change documentation, I
Mm,
need to update the application.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which sucks.
Yes. But it's fun. I think, ooh, this is very interesting. Now I inspire to do my own thing, except what I don't do yet.
So this is what I think this is not related to the not related to stencil. So I I usually have a problem trying to focus on one project.
Yep.
So I have a lot of interest. I have like 3D printer on my left right now, and I have like
Yeah.
Arduino, things like that. And then I have like
Yeah.
OpenCV books that I want to learn. So what I found best was just so I think I started this 2 years ago. So each year I have a goal that I only like focus on either one or two things beside work, obviously. So so maybe I spend like 6 months just doing this thing. I found that that is more useful than like jumping from one project to one project. So
Yes.
yeah,
That's what I'm doing as well. I mean, I have a long-term project that comes here and there. Mostly voice now. So the voice assistant we're talking about since forever. So yeah, except which one, what I'm doing with it, I don't know yet. Okay, with this said, it's getting a bit late. And so anything else you want to add, Tristan?
No,
Good. So I'm going to link all the stuff we talked about from the script and to usestencil.com. So I'll link it to the show notes. Then put it there. Hopefully you get more user now. Here's what I
yeah, I hope
suggest
so.
though.
well, yeah, again, maybe
Tighten up
not
your setup.
immediately because of the support costs and having to support lots of users will be a pain.
Yeah.
But yeah, hopefully it becomes successful.
Yes. And also
Yeah,
suggest
thank you.
tighten your sign up.
Tighten
Tighten your
your what?
sign up. Your sign up.
Sign up.
I don't know
Yeah.
if you want to tighten your sign up. Usually, you want people to easily sign up, right?
Yeah, that too.
What do you mean?
Make it
The
uh,
amount of users that you were mentioning, I
correct,
guess.
Oh,
correct.
But yeah,
Correct.
we have to
You
deal
know
with
what?
it.
It's your strategy. There is multiple approach for it. In fact, my approach when you may want it to be a bit more viral than not viral at all. So yeah, you know what? If next year you reach or something, you go to Labuan and visit you or whatever.
well,
Even though there's not,
Python Epic should was supposed to be in KK, right? Last year.
yeah, and that don't work out. And I don't think
Yeah,
it's going to work anytime soon.
yeah, that's right.
To be honest, I'm not sure about the future of PyCon anymore. So let's see how it goes.
Well, I
Because
think
I'm not,
that we're
huh?
not sure about the future of any conferences anymore, really, because with the situation. So it's not just PyCon, but
Correct.
yeah, Ruby conferences has been stopped for like two years now as well. So we'll
Yes.
see. I don't know about Elixir. I haven't been following. I used to follow Elixir conferences, but not anymore. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's JavaScript. Our mini conference of JavaScript every month has stopped for a bit. So
Yeah.
it's really yeah, it's up in the air. We don't know what's happening.
Yes. So with that said, well, thanks for coming. I think it's very enlightening and it's
Yeah, thanks
recorded,
for
so we
having me
may
too.
and people can visit this. So I'm going to link your socials, Twitter and all that as well, or you prefer or you prefer just use stencil and whatnot.
Yeah, my personal works too.
Okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Is
So I'm going to
shulhi
link.
is it? Yeah, my GitHub is shulhi. My Twitter is
Yeah,
shulhi. So everything's
yeah.
just mostly shulhi. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. With that said, I think we should say goodbye then.
All right.
Okay.
So goodbye
Bye.
to
See you
everyone.
all next week.
Yeah, and I need
All
to
right.
find
Thanks for
someone to
having
join.
me.
Yes, I'm going to
All
end
right.
podcast in 2